And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the Valley.
At the age of 30, Steve Jobs hit rock bottom. Everything he had worked for throughout his adult life was taken away from him. He was forced out of the very company he built, brick by brick, over nearly a decade. He was devastated, clueless. For months, he didn't even know what to do next. Worse than losing his company was the feeling that he had failed an entire generation of entrepreneurs who believed in him. A public failure. A man who thought about quitting, about running away from it all. So how did someone who lost everything, at the peak of success, turn it all around for the better? Don't lose faith yet. This isn't one of those videos about failure. This is about what comes next after failure. Because failure is inevitable, and for many people, failure feels like the end. But for others, the ability to fail, regroup, and rise again, especially after giving their absolute best, is what creates the difference. And in this video, there's one key lesson you don't want to miss. A lesson that quietly shaped Steve Jobs' destiny, from a journey he took years earlier to India. In 1976, in Los Altos, California, two college dropouts built a computer in a garage. They called it the Apple I. That single machine would go on to spark one of the most influential companies of all time.
And we are calling it iPhone.
By 1983, Apple was on top of the world. The company was growing rapidly, and Steve Jobs recruited John Sculley, the CEO of Pepsi, to help run Apple. At first, things went well, but slowly, their visions for the future of Apple began to diverge. Just 2 years later, a power struggle erupted, and Steve Jobs was forced out of his own company. Only a short time earlier, Apple had launched the Macintosh, one of its finest creations under Jobs' leadership. Everything was going so well, so how did it all fall apart so fast? As Jobs would later say, it was a painful experience.
Tell us about your departure from Apple.
Oh, it was very painful. I'm not even sure I want to talk about it. What can I say? I hired the wrong guy.
That was Sculley?
Yeah. And he destroyed everything I'd spent 10 years working for.
After leaving Apple, Steve Jobs made a crucial decision: to focus only on what he could control. The burden of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. And that marked one of the most creative periods of his life. Within 5 years, Jobs started 2 companies. One of them was a small animation studio called the Graphics Group, which we now know as Pixar. Pixar went on to partner with Disney, and in 1995, Toy Story brought global recognition and critical acclaim.
To infinity and beyond!
When Pixar went public, Jobs' 80% stake was worth over $1 billion in a single day. After nearly a decade of struggle, he had finally achieved massive financial success. Yet, the most transformative chapter of his life was still ahead. Jobs also founded a company called Next. Next machines were technologically advanced and marketed to universities, research institutions, and financial organizations. But the products were expensive, sales struggled, and Jobs' intense personality, his micromanagement, impossible standards, and difficult positioning pushed partners away. Next ran out of money and investors. It wasn't a commercial success. But the lessons from Next shaped the leader Steve Jobs would later become. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple acquired Next in 1996 for $427 million, bringing Jobs back to the company he once lost. Sometimes, when things fall apart, especially when you've truly given your best, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Focus on what you can control. Detach emotionally from failure, but study it intellectually. Learn the lesson without living in the pain. When you do that, life has a strange way of rewarding you. Years earlier, long before Apple, before failure, before redemption, Steve Jobs took a journey to India. In 1974, Searching for meaning and self-discovery, he traveled by bus and train to the foothills of the Himalayas. He hoped to meet Neem Karoli Baba, but arrived after the guru had already passed away. Despite the disappointment, Jobs spent 7 months in India exploring spirituality. Later, he said the experience had a profound impact on his work. In his biography, he explained, "The people in the Indian countryside don't use their intellect like we do. They use their intuition instead, and their intuition is far more developed. Intuition is a very powerful thing, more powerful than intellect." And this matters now more than ever, because intellect is common, talent is abundant, hard work is no longer rare. Everyone is smart, everyone has access to information, everyone is grinding. So intellect alone no longer differentiates you. Intuition is what tells you what to work on, when to move, what to ignore, and when to stop forcing things. That's why two people can read the same books, learn the same skills, work equally hard, and still end up in completely different places. Before, if you were smart, you won. If you worked hard, you stood out. But this is the new reality. Everyone is smart, everyone is informed, everyone is consistent. The real edge now is direction. Intellect analyzes options. Intuition chooses alignment. Intellect asks, does this make sense? Intuition asks, does this feel right? When those two work together, breakthroughs happen. Now, not everyone can disappear to India for 7 months, but intuition isn't geographical, it's trainable. Start with silence, because intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. Reduce noise, reduce distraction, create space. Next, stop forcing outcomes. If something requires constant resistance, intuition often shows up as relief when you let go. Then observe patterns. What keeps pulling you forward? What keeps draining you? Your intuition speaks through repetition. Finally, act before full clarity. Intellect wants guarantees. Intuition moves with partial information, but full conviction. Start small. Trust intuition in small decisions first. Once it proves itself, you'll never ignore it again. Steve Jobs didn't just build products, he built from alignment. And in a world where everyone works hard, intuition is the game changer.